Sawadee Cup and welcome to another episode for the Funky Pod and for MMA Monday. And it's actually on a Monday. Maybe I stick to the MMA Monday moniker now. Who knows? Let's see. The MMA hour, 10 minutes. So we have to talk about a few things MMA. Obviously, interesting weekend. Again, if you're new to the program, I'm not reviewing the fights because there are so many great review shows out there. Mostly Morning Combat, for example. Ariel, if you want to hear some instigation. I joke, maybe. So there are many review shows out there. Bisping, who's really losing it a little bit, in my opinion. He's like just really, I know maybe he's blinded by the YouTube money now because he's going all for the clicks these days, which is a bit annoying. But there are so many shows out there, so I'm not just reviewing it. There are also really good ones out there from non-celebrities, like Jack Slack podcast, for example, which is amazing. If you want to hear opinions that are really great and interesting and elaborate on social media, you follow Kaposa at Grabaka_Hitman on Twitter. There are so many out there, so I don't review the fights unless it's one championship. I do review one championship fights because I simply think I live in Bangkok, so I go to basically all the events around here. I've seen lots of the fighters in the regional scene, so I can give some breakdowns there, but I'm not reviewing the UFC fights because there are so many out there. But I do give my take on like how the media is handling certain things, and how, the fighters or like personalities or whatever are using the media. So, having that said, let's just jump right into the UFC 283 aftermath, and also then after this, a breakdown of the first one Friday fights from Lumphini Stadium. So one championship now, in addition to their pay-per-views, like one on Prime and so on, they also now having Friday fights, that's the title that they gave them, from famous Lumphini Stadium here in Bangkok. Lumphini Stadium is like the mecca of Muay Thai, so to speak. If you're a Lumphini Muay Thai champion, you're like the champion. And now they have like Friday fights in Lumphini Stadium, MMA as well as Muay Thai, mostly Muay Thai, I would say. At least the first event now. And I'll break this down in just a second, at least the two main fights. But let's start with the UFC because, props where props are due, right? So Glover Teixeira retiring. So while I'm not reviewing the fight, congratulations to Glover Teixeira for a great career. Became champion very late in his career. Awesome. Tried to regain it one more time. Didn't work out. No problem. Legend of the game. Obrigado. Well done. Fantastic. The way the UFC treated him, or like in the lead-up, was also great, I think. Sometimes they try to hit you on the way out. And this time they really highlighted like his personality, the way he's a hardworking blue collar kind of guy, which was really nice, and like at least in the UFC embedded, which is nice. I don't think Glover himself is like a big media person. He did lots of interviews though, which was surprising, and he was super chilling all the interviews. He wasn't a Bisping podcast. He did every podcast out there, I think. That was a bit surprising. But hey, I was chilling at the beach and so on, like videos of him at the beach and so on. Maybe took it a bit too easy, I don't know. Or maybe was just wanted to enjoy his last ride, like as much as he could in his home country. Fair enough. So nothing much to say here because he retired. They gave him his space. Good job. Jamal Hill, now we gotta talk. So Jamal Hill, congratulations on becoming the champion. Very emotional, fantastic. Today, when I opened Twitter, I saw lots of people. And yeah, you never know who they are, right? Hating on Jamal Hill for his stance on women. And I was like, I wasn't aware of that. Let me check. So I tried to figure out like, what did he do so that everyone's hating on him? And I saw that he was kind of like defending Dana White from the slap situation, right? Which is not a good thing to do. I completely agree. But you can also see how social media just jumps on. And he didn't say Dana White was right. He said something along those lines on Twitter, like, no one should be slapping anyone. If you slap someone, you have to live with the repercussions. That's what he said, kind of like. He's like, what if women just slap guys and they expect us to take it, brah, or something? Not a great stance, obviously. Should apologize for that, probably. Could have said, like, it was in the heat of the moment, I don't know. But suggesting that because of that he's a terrible human being with a terrible stance on women. I'm not sure if that's like the connection to make, but social media is fast to jump to such conclusions, right? So what should he do? I mean, what could the UFC do? The UFC probably wants to sell that champion, right? So do another like embedded or like an embedded style, like a post showcase of like how he celebrates with his family, put something out on the YouTube channel, like how his wife welcomes him back home at the airport, how they hug and embrace and whatnot, things like this. He should use his social media also like to maybe be more thoughtful on this. I think he should apologize for that, or like at least say like, hey, you're all like blew it out of proportion. I didn't mean. I just meant like, well, if someone gets struck, then there, I don't know, emotions flying high, so just don't hit anyone or something like this. So he could like get back on this a little bit. I agree that obviously the stance or like the message wasn't great, but I also think just because of that, you might not want to jump to a conclusion and saying like he's a terrible human being that hits women, because that's probably not the case. And so that's what I'm just saying. Like those conclusions aren't always that sound, like a bit too fast, and you know how social media works. So I think he needs to be a bit more proactive there. Okay, that was Jamal Hill, but congratulations on being the champion. Co-main, Brent Moreno, Davison Figueiredo, finally it's over. Man, they're gonna fight until they're 65 or 70 in retirement's homes, like I'm gonna get you. Yeah, I mean, Brent Moreno is very media friendly anyways. He does the Spanish commentary or broadcasting at times, I believe. So he's very good at it anyways. He's like the likable guy, the guy that collects Lego and so on. So he's on the media all the time anyways. Great job. The UFC shoves it down our throats that he's like the first Mexican champ, which is great because deservedly so. Like if I would be the first whatever champ, I would be like, hey, I'm the first. So yeah, I think Brent Moreno is doing like a good job. He's always on all the podcasts and the programs and so on. So good job there. Davison Figueiredo, I think, could benefit from like now being a bit more, I don't know, outgoing. He's outgoing personality, but like proactive in his media, especially social media approach. Now that he goes into a new weight class, he's got to be like, I'm here. You know what, right? So like announce himself. Maybe have like some help from Triple C if they still talk to each other. I'm not sure if there was like bad blood when they split or not. Like some like I'm dropping like right in hot into the division. So I think he needs a bit more fanfare. Like what they did with him when he was a champion, you know, just continue to like pushing him into the next division. Even though there are lots of people in there, lots of contenders, but you wanna utilize the star power that's left from Davison Figueiredo, right? So gotta push, I think. Otherwise, I think all the highlights were great. Of course, all the knockouts, the vicious knockouts, are gonna like be played over and over again. Johnny Walker made use of his mic time. So did Gilbert Burns. I'm not sure if calling out Colby Covington is the smartest thing, but he probably knows better. I don't know when Colby can come back, or if he's going to come back, or if he's going to have to keep acting injured or something to get the money from the court or whatever. But yeah, so I think they all did a decent job this time around on the microphone. Maybe Manny Moicano blazed the way for other Brazilians that are now more confident on the mic and like calling out others. Or maybe it's really like this, because Gilbert lives in the US, right? Glover does, of course, but I mean, he didn't say anything. But the other Johnny Walker in Ireland, and I don't know if like the others also live in the US or something. But you see that they're more confident. So if your English skills are just better, are improving, you're more confident, you're calling your shots more elaborately, which is great. So for any foreign fighter, right, it makes sense to get better in English. Like, yes, America is not the center of the world, but if you're in the UFC, it kind of is. So let's utilize it as much as you can. I think this time around, most of them did it quite well. So nothing much to complain about here. I'll probably complain about it in the next MMA hour, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, once the program's now picked up on the results, and then I'm gonna pick it apart, like how they treated different fighters. I just listened to the Morning Combat guys a little bit, to Luke Thomas, and he gave like props to Glover, which was nice to hear. He also gave props to Moreno and all the other winners. So that was nice too. So far so good. But well, Monday. So tomorrow, Tuesday here in Bangkok. Monday for the people in the US. The other show went live, the fake MMA Monday, the MMA Hour, fake MMA Hour. So let's see what happens there. Okay. So far so good. There have some viral knockouts. Great. I think they're all going to utilize it. Awesome. Let's move on. I think no real fallout after that. Like no Conor McGregor tweeting angrily or anything, or no weird call outs or anything. Belal was like on social media a bit like, oh no, I really don't like the guy. Yeah, good. Who cares? Like, Belal was on a Joe Rogan experience, like, right? And he said some interesting stuff, but he's also just like always like has like this. He complains in like he's not saying like he's not complaining actively, but it's like this passive complaining all the time. Like he says something interesting and then like adds a complaint at the end of the sentence, and then it's like complaining like, dude, just leave the complaints out, and then people just gonna see like, hey, okay, you're just gonna hack everybody to death, but if it works, it works. I mean, Khabib made it work, so great, keep doing what you're doing, but stop the complaints all the time. It's a bit like, eh. And if it's true that he's not ducking, but he just didn't accept the Gilbert Burns fight, then you can complain about someone calling you out, right? So, okay. Gilbert Burns suggested him versus Colby via TUF. How much should I get for that? Because he posted like then also like the money bags. Is it really still that much worth? Because I mean I haven't watched TUF in like ever, so I don't know if it's still like this big of a deal in the US. You let me know. But yeah, so I mean I would like to see the fight. Obviously, just like I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if that's gonna happen in the near future, because Gilbert said he wants to fight again soon. So I probably Gilbert versus Belal more I don't know, more in the cards. But let's see. That's enough for the UFC, I think, because it was like a cool event, a nice event, but no crazy fallout after the event, I think. Oh well, the last thing, Anthony Smith missed weight as the replacement. I mean, he wasn't needed, but yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what he says on the podcast. I knew that the guys were fighting anyway, so I was like, I don't have to cut the last few pounds. Let's see about this, Anthony Smith. Let's see about this. He's hating on people that miss weight all the time, so let's see. Okay, moving on. One championship, Friday fights was pretty cool. Lots of probably fighters that you don't know, so I'm not gonna like go through all the fights now. But there was like two shows in one, basically. And the main event of the first part of the show was a Muay Thai fight between Seksan, the Thai fighter, and Tyler, I think, Harrison, from Australia, nickname John Wayne Noi. Noi is a Thai word for little, small. So it's basically the small John Wayne. So the small John Wayne Parr. So I mean, if you're from Australia, you have to probably be compared to John Wayne Parr, especially if you're in Thailand, because Thailand loved John Wayne Parr. Harrison was way taller than Seksan. Way younger, I think so too. Less experienced, but they put on a show. Like Harrison tried, like he just was trying to march forward, and Seksan was trying to pick him apart and like moved into the pocket and just like hit him with some nice clean uppercuts in between. And it was a fantastic fight. And Harrison was not deterred. He kept throwing all 3 rounds. Seksan got the decision in the end. Harrison acted surprised for a second, but I don't think it was a surprise. It's in Thailand, so getting the decision over a Thai fighter is not that easy. But also, Seksan deserved to win. Like he was hitting the cleaner shots, the heavier shots, and just more of them, I think. But it was like still a great fight. So it was not that he was outclassed, Harrison. It was just like Seksan edged it out, I think. But great showing from Harrison, like great coming out from Harrison there. He's going to be on lots of future cards for one championship, I'm sure, because it was a fantastic fight. It was really good, really great. Seksan also, but we all know Seksan, like he's a very, very accomplished here in Thailand. He got the 50,000 baht bonus also afterwards. I think Harrison should have gotten a bonus too. Like, should be fight of the night, not just the winner, but should be like a fight of the night kind of thing, in my opinion. But it was a fantastic fight, and the crowd went nuts. If you haven't watched it, it's on YouTube right now. Check it out. Saxons versus I think Taylor Harrison from Australia. The crowd went nuts. The crowd was so noisy. It was awesome, because usually you don't hear it in the one events, because usually one championship is an Impact Arena when they're in Bangkok, and like the big arenas when they're here in Southeast Asia. And sometimes it feels like they pump the noise in. I'm not sure. But it doesn't feel. I know it doesn't feel like that organic and like big like those big arenas. But like Lumphini Stadium is a stadium, but it's not huge, as big as like an Impact Arena here. And the crowd noise was just so loud. It was fantastic. And they're a very educated Muay Thai crowd. So when there are Muay Thai fights, they know what they're looking for, of course. And they just, with every kick, they go, oh, it was amazing. It was fantastic. Like even like teeps, like front kicks, which aren't that crazy, right? They're like, oh, it was awesome. It was a really, really great crowd. So that was fantastic. Then the second main event of the second part of the show afterwards, in the second part of the show, the second main event was just, that was completely nuts, which was Nong O Gayanga, like a living legend in Muay Thai, the one Muay Thai champion of the weight class. I forgot which one it is. And he was facing Alverdi Ramasanov, the previous champion in one championship. Alverdi Ramasanov also trains, he's from Russia, but he trains here in Thailand, like very well known in the Muay Thai scene here. He trains in Pattaya with Venom Training Camp. Yeah, Venom, I know. So he trains with Venom Training Camp. And the weigh-ins the day before, like the face-offs, he was like making like this shooting gesture, like I'm gonna kill you to Nong O. And in Thailand, I mean, yeah, it's controversial anyways, but in Thailand, this is like super impolite. Like when you face off, you're going to be polite, right? You why each other. You're like, yeah, let's do it tomorrow. No hostilities usually. So being like this is like a no-go here in Thailand. And so then the fight starts and Nong O does his thing, like landing better shots. Ramasanov is hanging in there in the first round. I think Nong O had it. Close-ish fight. But Nong O with like the better shots. Like Ramasanov was throwing some kicks, some teeps, and his corner was like, yay, celebrating like everything that he landed. But Nong O landed better. So Nong O was up, I think. Second round I would also have given to Nong O just because it's in Thailand. And I think he had like the heavier shots, I think. But you could maybe argue that Ramasanov, like in the found his groove better and also landed some good shots there. So you could have maybe given it to Ramasanov. But that's usually like when you have like a close round with Nong O fighting, like I'm not sure if Nong O took this one. Maybe he lost this round. Then usually Nong O is like, he knows the two and he comes out and he just like demolishes his opponent. And that's exactly what happened. Round 3 starts and Nong O just comes out and just kills Ramasanov, like just pushes forward, throws all the combinations, and Ramasanov was just like, what is happening? And so Nong O took him out there, I think at like 2 minutes something in that round, in the third round, TKO. I think a body shot dropped him, and he couldn't get up in time. Like he was just sitting on the floor, so like I can't get up, and so stoppage. And then Nong O was just like won, and then he's like pointing and shooting at Ramasanov like a few times. For a Thai to do that, you really need to have pissed him off. Like you can see that Nong O was not happy, so he's like. After that, Ramasanov went to the corner of Nong O. Maybe he apologized, or maybe they hugged it out afterwards. We don't know what they said, but they hugged it out afterwards. So, yay, nice that they at the end made up in this regard. But in the beginning, like Nong O was mad about this behavior in the weigh-ins or in the face-off. So, if you're about to fight in Thailand, let this be a lesson. No. Tyler Harrison, for example, he also had like guns, like toy guns with him because John Wayne Noi, but in a cowboy hat, but in a funny manner. He's like pew pew, like yay, not like I'm gonna kill you. So yeah, that's not how Thailand works. So just as an FYI, be aware of this if you're planning to fight here. And the crowd noise here was so loud. that for a moment you couldn't hear the commentary. You hear they're saying something, but you couldn't hear what they were saying for just a moment. So this was amazing. So this one fight, now I think I don't know if they planned it exactly like this, but I think they just struck gold here. Yeah, I think that's the saying, right? I think they struck gold with this one. If they keep doing this from Lumphini Stadium, it's going to be amazing. There are lots of like fight nights now, fight events here in Bangkok right now, also from Lumphini Stadium. There are lots of promotions who are trying to make it work, making it like a bit more upper class, like more like TV friendly, but it hasn't really worked out so far. And I think if one keeps doing that, they probably are going to be the ones that are really going to do it. Chatri, the CEO of One, sometimes a bit controversial, but he also made a speech in between, like how he thanked everybody involved. It's in Thailand, you have to thank like everyone. But he seemed a bit like emotional, like in a good way. Like he's like, oh man, I can't believe we're actually at Lumphini Stadium, because it just means so much to be in Lumphini Stadium. All right. Having that said, the last thing, so that was the one event was fantastic. So if there are one fight night, Friday fights again, check it out, especially if you're into stand-up. They had some MMA fights on there, but it was mostly the Muay Thai fights. Even the MMA fights didn't really hit the ground, because I don't know, if you're in Lumphini Stadium, you just don't go for the takedown. You're like, I'm here in Lumphini, I have to stay, keep it standing. Last thing I forgot earlier with the UFC, that Ukrainian guy who took out Shogun Rua, and Shogun retired, of course. Mad props to Shogun, because he's a legend. Then he did like this dance where he shot Shogun at the end to celebrate, like a Fortnite dance. That's gonna bite him in the ass. Like in the moment, people already hating on him, and like, how can you be so like a shooting thing and so violent and whatever? And especially if you're from Ukraine, maybe they didn't realize it's a Fortnite dance. But also doing that Fortnite dance in that moment against the legend who's retiring, if you're from Ukraine, might not be the best thing to do. So some media awareness, I think, would be beneficial to fighters. So if there are fighters out there who want some media training or something, shout out, we're going to hook you up, because that's just terrible if things like this happen. Or if you like need some cross-cultural training before you're heading to Thailand, shoot us a line, we're gonna hook you up there too. Okay, that's it for this today's MMA 20 minutes, MMA hour, MMA Monday, whatever we're gonna call it. Let me know your thoughts on the events, on how the media handle all those things. I think it was a great weekend of fights. I can't wait for the next one. Until then, stay safe, take care. Don't forget to keep your guard up. Sawadee Krap.